Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with another collection and discussion video. Recently, I got the last couple films I needed from this one filmmaker. I just did the last review I had to do of his. So I figured why not just do a collection video, talk about all his films briefly in one video. And that, of course, is Rob Zombie. I had more of his CDs. I don't know what happened to him. This is the only one I have left. But yeah, I figured I'd just hold this up for now. This is a collection on just his films. I just pulled this because it was there. Now, Rob Zombie, he's a guy who I've always liked his music. In fact, this is my favorite album. Living Dead Girl was my favorite song till I heard the House of a Thousand Corpses song. Dragula, Super Beast, How to Make a Monster. Oh, it doesn't have More Human Than Human on it. I thought it did. Anyway, this is not about his music. This is just a film collection. I just did that just because. Heavy metal musician, but he's, came out around the same time as like Marilyn Manson, sort of the shock rock, almost like the Alice Cooper of the 90s, and lifelong horror fan. And in 2000, well, this says 2002, but I think it sat around for like 3 years, so whenever he made it, then it sat around, then it actually came out, he got to make his first film, which was House of a Thousand Corpses. Again, I think it's 2002. That's what it says on the back here. I have reviewed all these. Just give me a break if I mess something up. Now, I remember when this came out, I remember seeing this at the video store. I mean, I was a young kid. I wasn't even in my teens yet. And I thought, this looks so scary. That sounds so messed up. Rob Zombie does that heavy music. I never even saw it till years and years later. In fact, I didn't even see this or his follow-up film, which is the sequel, The Devil's Rejects, until after 2010. Like, after I graduated. This one has elements of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rocky Horror Picture Show, along with the experimental Rob Zombie-ness. A lot of times it kind of feels like a music video because certain editing and lighting and music, it has a very experimental feel. However, this would be the last film of this kind that he would do. He definitely went more traditional after this as far as, experimentation. But for a while, this was my favorite one because, it lacked a lot of what Rob Zombie would be known for, which I will talk about in his next film. But, it's goofy, it's kind of cheesy, it's supposed to be kind of fun, popcorny. I think he is trying to be spooky and disturbing at the same time. Also shows us that Rob Zombie is also obsessed with serial killers because of the Killer Ride. But we also got introduced to the Firefly family. I mean, Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding, Bill Moseley as Otis Driftwood, and Sherry Moon, at this time, she wasn't Sherry Moon Zombie yet, as Baby. They would probably go on to become his signature characters. And of course, Otis is pretty much an allegory for Charles Manson. Basically who he is. Like, even though this is so unlike the rest here. For the longest time, when I thought of Rob Zombie movies, this is the one I thought of. And up until recently, this was still my favorite one. I don't know why, it just was. His next film, 2005, however, Devil's Rejects, the sequel to that. Of course, you can see Sid Haig is not wearing his clown makeup. He's not an albino, instead he's got the beard, because Rob Zombie has to have someone that looks like him in every movie. Yeah, he went for more gritty realism in this, and I think this is most people's favorite Rob Zombie film. This is one of my least, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not saying that just because, like, I've always thought this movie was underrated. Like, I heard about this when it first came out, and I thought, wow, that movie sounds kind of messed up. But then I saw it, and it just came across as like an angsty 14-year-old who was told he can do whatever he wants. And this is the start, for me, of Rob Zombie turning into the stereotype Rob Zombie, the director, which is Deep South, 70s, classic rock soundtrack, really unlikable characters, or at least characters you can't even root for, with dialogue that is so profanity laden that it's barely even dialogue. I mean, there's barely any words in between the "gonna fuck you in the fucking piss, I'm gonna shit in your fuck, and I'm gonna skull fuck your ass and shit on my dick, shit fuck. Fuck you, motherfucker, want you to fuck my dick in your ass and mouth fuck shit, fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck." This is the start of that. And, you know, having either a whorehouse or like a strip club or a bar or somewhere in there. And then the horrible CGI. Like, I thought Rob Zombie, of all people, would have been against CGI. This, like, I think people look at this movie and they think of like the motel sequence, and they think it's like, it's so shocking, it's so disturbing. I thought he was trying too hard with this, to be honest. I've seen movies that have done less that have been more effective. But, you know, those are only his two first films. His next one, I used to really like. I remember when this came out. I loved it when it came out. But as the years went by, I can't stand this movie anymore. That is his Halloween remake. At first, I liked it because the kills were more brutal. We got to see his backstory of Michael Myers. You know, I liked how split it was. Like, first half is Michael as a kid. Second half is the John Carpenter story. I watch this now, and Rob Zombie missed the point of Halloween. I'm going to move this. I got all this serial killer stuff. I can tell when someone else is into serial killers because he took Michael Myers, the shape of a human being, the embodiment of pure evil, and gave him the most generic, textbook, cookie cutter, run-of-the-mill, you know, almost bullet point by bullet point, How I Became a Serial Killer movie. Bad home life in every way. Tortures and kills animals. Picked on at school. You know, going, you know, even within his family. Dad's not around. Has an abusive, alcoholic stepdad. Slutty sister. His mom's a stripper. They live in like the white trash part of town. Bullied by kids and staff. Tortures animals. Kills animals. Pets or otherwise. It's just like, you just turn him into, like, Henry Lee Lucas. Like, and to me, it didn't make it more shocking. It didn't make it more scary. And then Scout Taylor Compton was a terrible Laurie Strode. I mean, almost an insult to Jamie Lee Curtis. Sherry Moon Zombie, I mean, I guess she did all right in this. I liked seeing her in this because she wasn't playing baby. She wasn't being fucking annoying with that stupid laugh. Malcolm McDowell, at the time, I thought, well, no one's going to be Donald Pleasant, so I guess he's the best way to go. The best actor in this movie is Brad Dourif, and he's barely got anything to do. But this is the prime example, one of the prime examples of just the opening scene, the breakfast table at Michael Myers' family's house. It's just like, yeah, something about flappy ass titties, come sit on my balls, bitch. I'm skull fuck the shit out of you, and crying shit. Oh, jealous of your own daughter's ass, and motherfucker, I'll fucking break it, motherfucker. There's like barely any words. And then the cheerleader girls at the end, it's just like, why do we even care if you get killed? Because instead of having the authentic dialogue before the hedge, like in the original film, they're just walking by and they're just like, can you fucking believe that fucking teacher? I mean, that fucking bitch is CUNT's gotta get laid. No, there's no one to like in this movie. He didn't make it any scarier by making it more brutal. He didn't really give us a look into the mind of a serial killer by giving us essentially a white trash serial killer documentary for the first half, or even make it that psychologically deep in like a fictional sense. I just think he missed the point of Halloween. I am not a fan of this anymore. This one's even worse. Halloween 2. This is my least favorite Rob Zombie film. I hate this movie. Because that was such a big success that Sony was pretty much just like, hey, if you want to do a sequel, have at it. Which, of course, you can find interviews of him saying, why would I remake Halloween? Remakes are stupid. If it's perfect the first time, why remake it? Good point. Well, I figured I got stuff I could say, and there's questions about the original I could answer. Another interview. I'm not going to explain why Michael Myers is evil. And he does that. And I'm not going to do a sequel. He was shot in the face. I told my story. Hey, here's the sequel. And even like in my review for this, which I think I did at my review, I don't remember. This is kind of like Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Tim Burton's Batman resembles Batman, except Tim Burton did a much better job with Batman. But still, you can see the director's, tropes in it. Batman Returns, full on Tim Burton. And that's like this. This is full on Rob Zombie. It's a Rob Zombie movie with Halloween characters in it. That's all it is. The dialogue is even worse. I mean, when Richard Brake gets in a car accident and he's all messed up, and he literally sits there and goes, fuck. Even to the point he's like, fuck, for like 2 minutes. Or every time Laurie. And it's just, Rob Zombie's putting himself in movies. Laurie, how are we supposed to buy that you are traumatized by a serial killer when your poster on the head of your bed, on your wall, is Manson's mugshot that says "In Charlie We Trust." And yeah, she's got like almost barely dreadlock hair, listens to MC5, works at some grungy hipster vinyl shop. It's just like, Rob, you gotta stick your dick in every scene. The kills are more brutal. I like the kills in this movie. I like the kills in this more than I did this one. But I hate them because they're in this movie. The kills in this would have been so much better in some other slasher film. Like, what's her name? Octavia Jones, brutally stabbed a bunch of times. Jeff Daniel Phillips literally gets his face stomped to a pulp. And all the weird Tim Burton scenes, like the hallucinations, like the white horse and the Pumpkinhead King, and this psychic link between Laurie and Michael. I thought that was stupid. Someone was even like, well, they did it in number 5. And I'm like, yeah, it was number 5 any good? He barely wears the mask. Like, he's always just big beard, long hair. It's pretty much just Rob Zombie on steroids. He even has Michael Myers talk at the end. I mean, this is the kind of Halloween movie you make when you've already made a couple and you have to do another one and you don't want to. Like, you're trying to get fired from a series. I saw this in theaters, and I liked it back then, but the more I got to appreciate the originals, or the first 2 even, yeah, this is probably one of the worst Halloween films. It's definitely the furthest from In Spirit. Okay, after he got that out of his system, he actually did his most mature film, which I just reviewed, and that is The Lords of Salem. This isn't like a gory serial killer or bloody like serial killer movie. It's an eerie, atmospheric witch film. And, you know, the dialogue is actually, you can actually listen to it. Actually sounds like dialogue. Sherry Moon actually gives a good performance. The score is actually creepy. There's imagery that's actually creepy. I Redboxed this back when it first came out, 2012, 13. I didn't remember a damn thing. That was when I really started drinking. Didn't remember anything. Picked this up the other day. Watched it the other day. And I was just like, you know what? This is still his most mature, ambitious, and comprehensible film he's done. This one might be my favorite. If it's not my favorite, just in terms of one I like the most, I would definitely say it's his best. As far as being a good movie, this one is definitely his best. And ironically, this is the one that I hear gets the most crap from people. Like, his hardcore fan base does not like this movie, from what I've heard. I actually commend Rob Zombie for making this movie. This actually feels like an effort. Ironically, his next film, because, okay. So yeah, all of, especially these films, all the tropes that I've been given, 70s, Deep South, you know, hellacious, vile, pornographic, profanity-laden dialogue. And just, you know, trying to make you feel like you need a shower after you watch them. He sets it on hold for a while, does this very sort of thought-provoking, atmospheric, and creepy film. Puts all that shit on hold, and he does this. Well, he must have had one hell of a nut built up, because he had to release this, because this is the most Rob Zombie film. And weirdly enough, if this one isn't my favorite, I just think it's the best, if that makes sense. This one is. I mean, everything about this movie is just, this is Rob Zombie's wet dream. So why is it my favorite if all that other shit bothers me? I really liked Richard Brake. Richard Brake is the best character he's ever written. I kind of liked the concept. It's derivative of Saw, but I liked it. And the opening monologue with Richard Brake was fucking phenomenal. And I don't know. I guess everything else around Richard Brake. Well, I mean, he might as well have been like a Daniel Day-Lewis performance in this compared to everything else I've seen of Rob Zombie's. I don't really know what it is. I guess it was just more popcorn entertaining. I guess the planets just aligned up just enough. Or I knew what I was walking into. And I thought, so this is just a big confliction. Most Rob Zombie film, in terms of what annoys me about his movies, yet is probably my favorite one. If it's not, then it's this one. And then we got his latest film, which just came out, 3 from Hell. I also just reviewed this. The long-awaited sequel to The Devil's Rejects. 14 years apart. Now, yeah, I've always thought this movie was overrated. I mean, I used to like it, like actually enjoy it. But now I think it's overrated. I see how many people talk about this movie, love this movie in like the last 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Actually, they can't say 10 years anymore, but this one I think I actually enjoyed a little more. The first half was basically Devil's Rejects 2, and then the second half, it went in a different direction. I was actually really excited for a Richard Brake, who was Doomhead. The reason why I love this movie so much, or love his character so much, he was, I don't really think he was given as much to do. Sherry Moon as Baby did not bother me in this movie. Maybe because she's supposed to be losing her mind. That's why every line is she's just so woo. That she wasn't doing her usual baby shit. She wasn't annoying me. Like in this movie, the fucking Chinese, Japanese, dirty. I want to shoot myself every time that scene comes up here. She wasn't doing any of that. It was kind of interesting to go back to these characters. It was kind of a stretch to say they survived the end of Devil's Rejects. I don't know. I mean, I wanted to see it, but my expectations were kind of low. So, I mean, I wasn't blown away, but I was kind of like, that was actually well worth the watch. I thought it was worth it. I liked it way more than Devil's Rejects. I know that for a fact. But anyway. So yeah, that is my Rob Zombie film collection. Again, House of Thousand Corpses, it's still one of my top films of his for me. Devil's Rejects, I always thought was overrated. Doesn't mean I hate it. I just think it's overrated. Halloween, I can't stand. He missed the point. He missed the mark so hard on it. Hate this one even more. This is my least favorite film of his. I really admire him for this film. It is his most mature and ambitious. It's a movie that actually works. Not 100%, still has its flaws, but, this is like, this is kind of like a report card I could be proud of if he were my kid. In all of this, I'd be proud of this one. Ironically, the most Rob Zombie film might still be my favorite, 31. Mainly just because of Richard Brake as Doomhead. He was phenomenal. want to see him do an R-rated Joker. Three from Hell, you know, it more of a novelty, I guess. Hey, we're going back to these characters. Expectations weren't super high. I just wanted to see it because it was Rob Zombie. Yeah, I'm familiar with the characters. I wasn't really let down. I was actually kind of entertained. But anyway, so there you have it, folks. Feel free to let me know. Let me know what you think of Rob Zombie, his films, what ones you like, dislike, etc. Death Metal Elitist, I know you love his movies. But anyway, Rob Zombie collection discussion. Thank you for watching.